Good morning, everybody. Another Thursday. I'm Evelyn Thoren, your host for the next couple of hours. Pardon me?
There you go.
Oh,
Perfect.
okay. I'm trying to adjust the...
That looks good.
Anyway, it's just on the camera. Sam Chase, my co-host this morning. Thank you, Sam, for
Morning.
getting up extra special early, even though we all get up really early anyway. John McDonough is behind the camera. Sometimes on the camera. We're expecting Sidney Liang around that 7 o'clock mark. We'll talk about things going on in Lowell and maybe the budget and how things are operating at that point.
Never a dull moment politically in Lowell, that's for sure.
Well, there's not too many dull moments in Chelmsford either.
Well, that's true, but I think Lowell probably has got a little bit more going on than Chelmsford does.
Well, yeah, it's bigger.
Yeah.
So we have the Dawn Patrol goes roughly from 6 to 7 a.m., and then we have City Life from 7 to 8, and that's when Lowell joins us. But we're also on Facebook. There's a YouTube. There's different things in order to be able to see what everybody out there is thinking. This is an unscripted show, so we never know what we're going to say. Well, we sort of know what we might say, because I do send out articles and different kinds of things to people, and I used to do an agenda, and nobody did anything about it for research. I was the only one that knew it, so generally speaking. So it's easier to send out articles and pictures and see what everybody else has to think about it. And our opinions are our own. Could be somebody else's, but they're not the opinions of any of the telemedias in any place locally that you see, especially at the bottom of your screen.
Lowell, Tewksbury,
Yeah,
and Kingsborough,
right. So,
Is that it? Are there any more? We got those 5, right, John?
you verified we have
Yeah.
the 5 on the bottom. Do we have anybody else that has ever joined us from a different city or town in the...
On YouTube, yes.
Yeah, but not through their telemedia, yeah.
No, not from telemedia. The only telemedias are the one on the bottom.
Okay,
Everybody
so-
else is YouTube or Facebook.
Right, so we have people, and it depends. I remember, several years back, a friend of mine from Virginia called in because she happened to be up early. Her father at the time, when he was living anyway, was surprised that she was even up at all at this what they call an ungodly hour. So when I opened my blind this morning, it was 60
It'll be a
degrees.
more ungodly hour if we adopt permanent daylight saving
Well, we
time.
can talk about that. I thought that was kind of interesting.
I can't even believe that it's gotten that far. I can't even believe it. But
It passed yesterday.
it
Just asked the Senate to go now.
in the House, right? I can't believe it.
I don't want, the kids are gonna have to, we're gonna have to give kids flashlights for their
Yeah,
birthdays.
I'm not in favor of it. Which means it'll probably be enacted into law because I don't have a very good track record of.
Well, if it's the way I look at some of the
Yeah.
stuff they're doing currently, if it doesn't make any sense, they're going to do it.
Yep.
So, and that covers a lot of territory in what's going on within this country because, and we'll get to that instead of me going down that rabbit hole currently. But as far as the weather goes, I thought it was very interesting about all the wildfires. I did send, but we can always put it up later. And also the fact that you've had a lot of heat in Europe, and they've had 20,000+ people die from the heat. And you say, how can they do that? It must be really bad. But we're making comparisons to how we deal with heat in this country. So with all of the soccer fans coming from all over the world to this country to watch the competition, and by the way, what are we in, the semifinals for the soccer? There's very little air conditioning in Europe.
Right.
Even in the grocery stores. And so if you wanted to have the best publicity tour in the world for this country, having the World Cup in this country was it.
During the summer when
Yes.
it's hot.
Yes.
And they all say, wow, everybody has air conditioning. Why can't we do that at home?
Right. And they don't have air conditioning in many of their stores.
Right.
And they
Well,
don't have stores like we do.
You have to understand that I can't speak for Eastern Europe, but in Western Europe, they pay a lot more for electricity than we do. So I think that may drive some of that behavior without having the AC. So,
Well, the other part about like having the type of infrastructure is that they've been around for a lot more centuries than we have. And a lot of what goes on with their infrastructure was established a long time ago. When they had World War I and II, that did change some stuff, but it didn't change much, as far as I could tell, like with the way that the neighborhoods are and the way that the houses / apartment buildings and the concentration of people. It was not conducive to what we had here to build
Oh,
on.
it's completely different.
And it's very, very different. We have a lot of
Yeah,
water and they have none.
Land is more at a premium in the European countries, and housing situations generally are denser. You don't find single-family homes on 2-acre plots, typically. That does exist, but not to the degree that it does here. And the roads are, unless you get into the major cities, the roads are very narrow.
Well, they were for horses and
Exactly. So,
and
you know,
cows and sheep.
yeah, it's completely different. I think the British Isles, England, and Ireland, I think that is some of the most beautiful geography in the world. It really is. If you get out into the more rural aspects of England, Wales, Scotland, and then you scoot over to Ireland, it's absolutely beautiful. It's a beautiful country.
But when we looked out, like on Tuesday, we had all of the smoke. It was eerie at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because we did have...
It got darker yesterday, and then it got lighter towards the end of the day.
Right, that probably was
Yeah.
the concentration. But there was, they have issued health warnings
Yep.
with regard to that. So people who have breathing issues or asthma or other types of things may have to be careful about going outside.
They
And if
advise
you
you
have...
to wear an N95 mask.
Right, and if you are in your home and you have air conditioning, you do have filters.
Right.
And they're concerned about the particles and the
Change your
sulfur.
filters, folks.
Yeah.
I know people who never change their
They
filters.
don't know that they exist.
Well, you're right. That's
People aren't looking at maintenance on how to keep things up.
Well, as time goes on, and now we sound like a bunch of old people, which we are, as time goes on and technology advances, there are fewer and fewer people who know how things actually work. And that's a problem. That is a problem, because to the degree that you don't know how stuff works, it means you are more dependent on other people. And that's not necessarily a good thing. So,
So anyway, if
Yeah.
you are outside, there's a lot of, summer camps for kids.
Yep.
There's a lot of competition with swimming, tennis,
Mm-hmm.
there's all kinds of things going on. So make sure that you're aware of the health issues, because they did issue that health warning. And that warning, I think, goes till tonight, on Thursday.
We were watching, John and I were just talking, we were watching our favorite meteorologist, Kellyanne Schickalise, on Channel 5, and she said until midnight tonight for the smoke warning. So that was her comment.
I know that some
We
people...
can smell the smoke today.
Oh, yeah. Well, you could really smell it yesterday morning, or no, today is Tuesday was really bad.
Well, that was
Yeah.
when we first noticed
Yeah.
it.
So,
But we also had like a tornado warning and watch and thunderstorms and severe wind and everything, because we were up in New Hampshire. And
more smoke up there?
I
Than
don't
here?
think as much, but we had wind.
Well,
So the
yeah,
wind moved
that
it.
helps. Yeah.
When I spoke to my sister this morning, she's in Florida, her daughter lives on the South Shore, Massachusetts, and said that it was thick enough, the smoke was thick enough that the lights came on the streets.
Oh, really?
So
Wow.
I think there were different bands
Right.
of it that came through. This is not unusual, because we've had the wildfires from Canada, coming through, which is unfortunate, but that's the way it is. But there was an article, I would reference it to anybody that has Google, that there is a science behind why you see what you see. I thought that was interesting.
Yes.
So you
that
want to
was
look up the science behind the smoke, what it is, what it's made up of, and the fact that when you see the sunlight, it looks orange, and that's because of what the amount of particles are between what you see and what's in the
blue doesn't get through.
The blue doesn't get through.
Right.
So there was a whole article in the science of what was
Now,
going on with that. I thought it was interesting.
I haven't heard anything about how the fire started. Do we know anything about that?
No, but I can certainly ask my telephone at this point and see how
I
it
mean,
is.
if I were reporting a story like that, I think that'd be the first thing I'd try to find out, but maybe I'm odd. How did the fire start?
I don't know.
So,
More than likely lightning.
yeah, probably. I mean, it's funny that you say that because, you know, the media doesn't focus on that, but I remember years ago watching a.
Well, they want to blame it on Trump. Trump
Exactly,
started this.
well, exactly.
Trump was out there with a book of matches and a gallon of gasoline.
Right. But the thing is that I remember about 5 years ago watching a show on TV, and they talked about that, and they said that most forest fires start spontaneously with lightning. But that doesn't make a very interesting story, okay? So they don't really
No, they
want
can
to
always
report
blame
it
somebody
that
else.
way, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so,
So when I asked how did the fires start in Canada, if you ask
Okay.
your phone, there are YouTubes, what is causing the wildfires, triggering air quality alerts. I mean, there's across multiple states. Part of it basically is that most of the, you just said, most of those wildfires are stopped by lightning.
right.
The problem they have is the heat and the fact there hasn't been a lot of rain.
And a lot of dry
And
brush and stuff.
yeah, and
Right.
there's an actual website, CanadaWildfire.org.
Oh, for God's sakes.
So they have wildfire facts, and
Unbelievable, isn't it?
what it does is it asks all the questions. What is it? And then it talks about the triangle, like this, the fuel that's on the bottom, and you've got oxygen, and then you end up with heat, and then all the other stuff, and then the causes. Oh, and the fire season in Canada, they have a fire season from April to October.
Just like in California.
The busiest month, mid-May to late August, characterized by hot, dry, windy weather, and that has them experience catastrophic wildfires. But lightning and multiple lightning strikes at the same time is what's going to cause the fire.
Okay.
Now, if you have never seen lightning hit a tree,
Oh, boy.
you need to.
Mm-hmm.
So you should ask your phone. So several years back, Glenn and I had gone from our home in New Hampshire up to Meredith, New Hampshire. It used to be Ippolito's. It's now Brick House or something, or Brick something. It's a furniture store in Meredith, New Hampshire. And the sky was like really, really dark gray, blue-gray. And we're going, we got to get out of here. But we went up and around the top of Winnipesaukee and came back. And when we're on the other side, that storm hit because we were looking for furniture. And on the way home, it hit a tree probably 30 feet away from the van, and it exploded as if you had
A bomb?
bombed it.
Hmm.
And then it lit on fire. Now,
Well, I would guess it's the heat and the moisture in the tree, right, that would blow it apart? Is that how it works or not?
I don't know. I'd
Yeah.
have to ask my telephone.
Yeah.
My thing is the fact that you've got a lightning bolt that has so many, megawatts of power.
Gigawatt,
I can ask my phone.
Gigawatts,
Yeah,
yeah,
and so when it
unbelievable.
hits something that is flammable, it's gonna blow it up. We had that happen while we've owned the property, twice on the property, but we weren't there. But our neighbor was the first time that we noticed it.
yeah, I've seen that, the closest I ever got to lightning, it's a true story. I was in college, and I was working at Emerson Hospital in Concord, Mass, in the kitchen. That was my summer job. And, it's about this time of year, and tremendous lightning thunderstorm outside. And, you see in the cartoons and TV shows, people's hair that literally stands up off the top of their head, and we see that and we say, well, that doesn't ever happen, right? That's just an exaggeration. Well, I'll never forget, I was coming back from the cafeteria, and one of the other ladies who worked in the kitchen was coming towards me, and we were about maybe 10 feet apart, and this lightning bolt, to the point where I could actually see it, came right through the kitchen passed between us, was closer to her, missed her by maybe 2 feet, and her hair literally jumped off her head and stood up just like it does in the cartoons when you see it. And I never saw anything like that. I mean, that could have hit either one of us, I guess. But it terrified her so much she couldn't speak for the rest of the day. I'll never forget that. But her hair literally flew right off the top of her head. It was like, oh my God!
A lot of electrons.
That actually does happen, right? You say,
John just showed a lot
Yeah.
of pictures of lightning
Unbelievable.
strikes, and you could see how some of it exploded
Yeah.
the trees. But there was a couple of those pictures where you saw it go, because the lightning is
Yeah.
headed to the ground. That's why you
Right.
call grounding.
Right.
That's why you have a grounding rod in your house and a variety of other
Oh.
things, so that it goes that way.
Electricity has to do a circle.
Oh, yeah, the loop.
Right, the loop, and the ground is part of it.
But anyway, in our backyard, we have, well, actually on our property up there, we have a lot of, 40-foot pine trees. And it did hit one of those trees, and it went, when you saw on the picture of how it went right down to the ground, and you could see it glowing, that's exactly what happened to the tree.
Yeah.
And when it does that, it kills the tree. So over time, that tree did die, and we had to have it taken down. But in the process of it hitting the bottom of the tree, what was at the bottom of the tree immediately caught fire. So that happened, and another time when we weren't there, which did not cause a fire, there was another tree that was about 3 feet thick. It blew the top out, and the top embedded itself like 3 feet into the ground.
Oh, God.
And so it took quite a while for Glenn to,
Yeah.
chainsaw that out of there and the tractor to try to pull it out and all kinds of stuff, and then we had somebody take the rest of the tree down.
You don't want to be outside although if you go with the story I just told, doesn't matter, you can be inside. The lightning bolt can go. I'll never forget, that was, I'm trying to think, I was 20 years old, so that was, 59 years ago that happened. I mean, I will never forget that as long as I live. I mean, she was obviously terrified. I was too. I was scared. I mean, that thing could have killed either one of us. And,
So, my mother-in-law was standing at her kitchen sink, and it hit the tree in the backyard. She watched it travel, and it went to the sink that was in the basement.
Oh, God.
And it actually traveled in the ground into the house. Nobody was hurt or anything, and there
Well-
wasn't much damage except to the tree.
Good morning. A good amount of the buildings in Europe, it would be tremendously expensive for them to retrofit AC, and they also don't let the younger generation tell them what to do. Okay? Why isn't the news clip showing the fire raging in Canada?
Because it doesn't fit their narrative.
Oh, I'm sure everybody's seen the locomotive in Canada trying to go through
Yes, I saw that this morning.
gigantic fires.
Yes. Yeah, that wasn't nice. Is there a story behind the giant blue spruce tree in front of the Chelmsford COA, Center of the Arts?
There's no spruce tree in front of the CCA.
Council on Aging.
Oh, Council on Aging.
Where is it?
Council on Aging.
Let me look it up.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Unless they,
Don't know anything about a tree in front of the Council on Aging. So
unless they mean the senior center. Lowell and Chelmsford have one thing in common: they don't know how to properly pave when it comes to manhole covers. Graniteville and Old Westford Road already sinking. Forest management is a real thing. Yes, it is. In order to control fires, you need forest management of dry brush. You also need fire breaks. You got to cut trees down, and you have to create spaces, fire breaks.
Right, but they don't create them big enough,
No, they
especially if you have a
don't.
wind,
They don't.
because those sparks can
Yep.
travel, which we saw in California. Of course, it does help if you have water in the hydrants.
Yes, that does help.
Yeah, I'll have to drive. I think the Council of Aging, must be talking about the senior center, because that's where I
I
think
think
it is.
so, yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like a dead tree. But there's a lot of trees around that probably should be taken down. It's a question of manpower and money.
Well, you remember the controversy over the tree in Chelmsford Center.
Oh, yeah, on the common.
Yeah.
But they
and
took cuttings from that,
They
and
did.
and then they
Yeah.
carved things out of it, so it wasn't as if they just took it down and burned it.
But-
And wasn't it diseased and
It
dying?
was, and they had, it was John Coppinger, if you remember. John was a professional arborist, okay? And he is they had 3 arborists, and he was one of them. And he did a report and reluctantly told the town that they needed to take the tree down. But you're right, they did cuttings, and I think they were able to plant a couple somewhere. I forget the story now, but so that it survives in that form, you know.
Right.
That was a beautiful tree, though. It was too bad that had to come down, but no, things don't live forever,
That's for sure.
especially people.
Well, we all have a timeline.
Yeah. So
So anyway, we talked about the smoke, talked about the weather. Everybody wants to make sure that they're aware, but like I said, it was nice this morning. It was nice and cool at 60 degrees.
got any other Chelmsford stuff you want to talk about before Sidney gets in? Because when he
Well,
gets,
yeah, we were going to
when he
talk about the
gets here,
town manager.
It'll be Lowell stuff that we talk about.
Well, that's at 7. I have that. I have a
Yeah.
lot of other international type of stuff.
Okay.
And I have local stuff, but
Well, the town manager, for those.
so Chelmsford has a new town
Yeah.
manager.
For those who don't know.
We didn't spend very much time on that last week.
No.
We went through a lot of information last week in the first hour, and then we had Vivian. We talked a lot about insurance last week.
Yes, we did.
So-
Very interesting whenever Vivian is on. She has a lot of good practical knowledge for people relative to insurance and other things, so.
And that's like when when attorney Sandra Menendez is on.
Yep.
There's a lot of information on those days too. So if people are interested in knowing more in terms of insurance, in terms of legal issues, watch what our schedule's like. Or at any point, you can text 978-808-8200, call in. You can send a message via Facebook to John McDonough or any of us, and we'll pick up on whatever it is of the questions that might interest you, whatever the answers might be. Because there's a lot of stuff. When we have our attorney come in from Lowell, we talk a lot about estate planning, about real estate issues and finances, among what might be coming up in the state of Massachusetts. That's interesting, so make sure that you do that. So there's a lot of things we don't cover, but we didn't spend much time on the new Chelmsford town manager. And you were on the selection committee.
Yes, I
so
was.
maybe you could just share a little bit of that. We'll watch what the time is and move on.
Okay, I'll try to do it quickly.
Well, you can
So,
take your time.
whenever
but-
we have a Chelmsford is a charter town, which means we're governed by a town charter that's been approved by the state legislature and so forth. So, whenever we have a vacancy in the office of town manager, the charter requires that the select board immediately appoint a town manager screening committee whose purpose is to advertise for the position, take in the resumes and so forth, and make a selection as to who the interviewees will be. The screening committee then interviews the candidates that it selects, and they advance anywhere up to 3 candidates to the select board. The select board interviews the chosen candidates, and then they make the decision. The select board decides who the town manager is going to be. So we went through that process. It was relatively quick. There were 9 of us on the screening committee. 3 select board members were also on the screening committee, which I think was a good thing to do. And we moved pretty fast. And we had the candidates in. We had many candidates apply. We got it down to 7 people that we wanted to interview. And in my opinion, any of those 7 people had the qualifications. They could have done the job, okay? But then the question was, well, try to select the best ones from the 7. So we got it down to 2. We advanced 2 to the select board. They met on July 9th. When they interview the final candidates, it has to be done in open session. It cannot be done in executive session. So they did it in open session, so anybody could watch that situation. And 2 candidates, and they made a selection. The person that was chosen is Alex McGee. Now, some folks watching this in Lowell might know Alex because he worked for the city of Lowell in several capacities. So he's known in Lowell.
Rita Mercer was here yesterday, and she spoke very positively about it.
I'm glad she did, because that's the reaction that we've been getting. He is subject to successful negotiation of an employment contract, which is what they're doing now. He'll be joining us shortly, and we're looking forward to it. And as John just said, he's well known in the area, which, in my opinion, is a very strong factor. You know, there are people who believe that the town manager should live in the town. Well, this is about as close as you can get, because Alex lives in Westford, and he's about a half a mile from the Chelmsford line. Okay, so you can't. And like I said to my wife, I said he's closer to town hall than our daughter is. Our daughter lives in Chelmsford, but she lives on the Chelmsford-Westford line out past Graniteville. So it will take Alex shorter to get to the town hall than it would take my daughter, and she's a Chelmsford resident. So for those folks who think that that's important, and I do, I would never say we can't hire somebody who doesn't live in town, but I think the closer the manager is geographically to the town, the easier it is for everybody, okay? If he only has a 7 or 8 minute commute, that just makes it a lot easier for him to be here, okay? And
Right, but it also depends
you know-
on motivation, because Paul Cohen lived in Harvard, Massachusetts, and he was at events consistently and involved in everything more than the prior town manager
Who
had
did
been.
live- who did live yes.
in Chelmsford, because that's when we established we wanted to have them live in Chelmsford.
And quite frankly, when we hired Paul, that was a consideration, at least in my mind, because Paul lived in Harvard, and Harvard is 35 minutes, 30 to 35 minute commute. The other fellow who would have been perfectly competent to do the job, we had 2 very good candidates, Paul and the other gentleman, he lived in Sturbridge, and he wasn't going to move.
An hour and
And
a half.
that's an hour and a half
Yeah.
drive, and I was very concerned about that, okay? And he told us, give the man credit for honesty, he said, when the bell rings at 5 on Friday, you won't see me again till Monday. So he told us right up front, you know, if there were weekend
Right, his
events.
job was
He said, I will not be
an 8
there.
to 5.
Yeah, no, he told us that, so good on him
Right,
for his
but
honesty.
Paul, sometimes those meetings were, because
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
on committees with Paul at different points of his career in Chelmsford, and some of the meetings that he was a member of, you know, didn't get out until 9, 10:30. Sometimes when he presented budgets, you know, again, you're at the 10 o'clock mark, and he's back up again the next morning,
Oh,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
between 4 and 5 o'clock. So
Yeah, well, that's Paul,
it's
right?
it depends on personality, the dedication,
Yep.
and the way that people look at how they do jobs.
This fella, and I'm glad, John, you just said what you said about Rita Mercier. I'm
Yeah,
glad,
Rita was here for almost the whole show yesterday. She was the guest yesterday.
I'm glad
And she
said
spoke
that.
very positively.
Yeah, I'm glad. And that's generally the feedback that we've gotten. And he's worked with Christine Clancy, who is our DPW director, and Christine was on the selection committee as well.
Mhm.
She spoke very highly of him, and our chief assessor, Reagan LeMay, also had worked with him in Lowell, and she spoke highly. So, I mean, you know, if you've got good personal references like that, that just undergirds your decision and strengthens it and gives you a little bit more confidence. Plus, if you watch the man's interview, he's a pretty enthusiastic guy. I mean, he really wants to come to Chelmsford. I mean, that came through loud and clear. And so we're very excited.
It will
to
be
have
interesting.
him. Yeah.
We'll try to invite. We
Oh,
will
yeah.
invite him on, and we'll see if he shows up, which is not a long distance for him to show up at. But we can certainly ask a lot of questions. And if anybody's listening to this at any point in time, if you have questions of the new town manager,
Yep.
please make sure that we get those.
Well, let's give him a little chance to get here and find out where the men's room is first, and then.
Well, it's
you know,
not going
after-
to be next week. That's
Yeah.
obviously. It'll
After
be
he's-
sometime
yeah.
September, October.
Yeah, I'll try to get him on my show too, which
Right.
I'm sure he'll do. But in fact, I think probably Dean Contover and I will probably have a race to see who can get them first. But that's okay. I don't.
Yeah, but if he met with you guys, he knows you more than he knows him.
Well, he knows my daughter, okay, because Alex belongs to Chelmsford Swim and Tennis, and he's on the board of directors there, and so is my daughter Allison. So, she knows him quite well, and also spoke very highly of him as well, so.
Well, when
Yeah.
we first moved to Chelmsford, until the kids got to be high school level, we were members of Chelmsford Swim and Tennis. And then we gave that up because they weren't using it, and neither were we.
We couldn't get in. It was.
Oh, we were on a waiting list.
Yeah, we were on a waiting list, and we couldn't get in, so we also had put in for Russell Mill.
No, I didn't
So
put
we
in for
were
that.
on, well, that's too far from you. I mean, actually, Russell Mill was better for us because it was a lot closer. But we went on both waiting lists, and we just, the Russell Mill spot opened up first, so we went there, and it was wonderful. It's a lot less expensive than maintaining a swimming pool, I can tell you that, and a lot less liability, okay? And the benefit was that, again, you had people that were there that watched over your kids, and anyways. But anyway, I guess the point of the swim and tennis thing is that Alex already has a foothold and ties into the town, and he participates. He told us that, he said, I can't remember the last time I missed a 4th of July parade, so things like that. So he's already got some investment in the town, which is good, and I think that was a huge edge in getting him to come to us, so.
That's good. Thanks very much
Yeah.
for that. I know that there are, I think I had it here. Let me see where we are. Yes. So the Chelmsford Public Library has different concerts, and there, I don't know if I sent it to
Where do they hold the concerts?
McKay.
That's right.
Let me see if I sent it to John. Yes, I did. So, John, on Facebook, I sent you an announcement, and it is the second one. It says Chelmsford Public Library,
Okay.
and if you put that up, it shows the different summer concerts, but because of the poor air quality, the one that they have today, they're going to have inside at the Old North Town Hall. And you can see there's one on July 22nd, the 29th.
Let's get through these messages first, and I'll go after that
Right.
text you're talking about.
Yep. It's not dead, and I was told the senior center was built after a fire at the school there. Yeah,
That's
I think we
correct.
talking about that tree.
about the tree. The amount of wildlife that is destroyed in a wildfire is not talked about enough. So far, our planet is outliving us all. Well,
Well, I hope so.
because if it wasn't outliving us, we'd be dead.
We'd be dead, right.
One of the main reasons Dennis
Peen deck.
Pindick was a successful town manager was that he lived in the community.
Well, back yesteryear, everybody lived in the community. Now there's highways, and people
Right.
don't live in the community anymore.
So anyway, so there are summer concerts in Chelmsford, and I thought that every Tuesday night they had one on the Common.
They do.
So obviously
Chelmsford,
it's Thursday, so you want to take a look at that schedule. Everything is online. There are a lot of opportunities, not only just in Chelmsford, but locally and in the Merrimack
A lot
Valley.
of a lot of towns have band concerts.
And you had a successful 4th of July parade.
Oh.
We talked about that last week.
Very successful.
There were a lot of different things that people don't know about because it is not run by the town.
Doesn't cost you anything.
And people volunteer for a lot of different things going on, including the police department. So we want people to know that there's plenty of positions. If you live in Chelmsford, there's plenty of positions on the parade committee for next year, 2027.
Because a lot of the veterans are leaving.
Yes, they've been there, some of them have been there more than 20 years.
And that's going to be a problem.
Yep, so we wanted to make sure people knew that. Now, there's another thing that's in the news that we can briefly discuss too, and that is this parasite that they're talking about that's on vegetables and whatever. And it's all, I'm trying to see if I have, yes.
On all vegetables or just some vegetables, or how does that work?
All right, so I'm going to send this to John. And so the next one is the foods to avoid.
Oh, boy.
So,
Is ice cream on the list?
No.
Oh, okay, good.
No, you can eat ice cream.
That's good.
So it's Cyclospora. It's a small parasite that lives in fresh fruits and vegetables. And it's not as much here as it is like in Michigan and in the middle part of the country.
What is it again?
It's a parasite that lives in fresh fruits and
A
vegetables.
bug of some sort.
Yes.
Okay.
You can't see it.
Mhm.
It hitches a ride on fresh produce, and that means you just have to wash it more. And I would suggest you have like salt water or baking soda. But there's a lot of stuff in things that's online, and they don't know the exact source. But the foods that you have to limit or avoid is bagged salad mixes. Now you can take a look at the dates, because there's a lot of stuff that's out there that was produced, no pun intended, prior to this. So you pre-cut or packaged lettuce or leafy greens, fresh herbs, basil, cilantro, raspberries, snap peas, prepackaged fruit and berry mixes,
I love
ready-to-eat
raspberries.
vegetable trays, prepared coleslaw. So,
Prepared coleslaw.
yeah, that's bad, because I already bought some and I didn't know that. But yeah,
Ooh.
hey, we'll figure it out. I'm not going to worry about
I
it.
eat a lot of coleslaw.
And it says, yes,
You
here's
make
the
your
summer
own sauce?
concerts. Yep. And so if people are interested, here's a visual. And you can certainly go on their site, but because of the poor air quality, they're moving it indoors to the Chelmsford Community Center at the North Town Hall. That's next to the North Chelmsford Fire Station.
Yep.
On Princeton Street.
Not too far from McKay.
And so you got to make sure that there's tickets available for this. So you have this that is an opportunity if people are interested in attending summer concerts.
Today is what, the 16th?
I thought that it was what is today? The 16th, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So this was yesterday.
Yep.
But there are other ones, and that was the reason that I did it, is because I put that up there. And so everybody wants to follow whatever the updates are as far as this particular parasite is concerned. And anything frozen is processed. And you're usually anything that's frozen, you're gonna cook. So since it is processed, it's washed before it's frozen. So frozen items,
Are
from
okay.
what part of the, one of the other articles that I read about this, they said, you don't have to avoid frozen. And as far as anything that's fresh, you just have to make sure you wash it.
The coleslaw concerns me. Now, you said.
I don't know how you wash coleslaw.
No, well,
You can make your own.
you can, right, but you,
Sam,
You-
pull that mic a little closer.
I'm sorry, you said prepared coleslaw, so that would be like,
Packaged, already mixed, just to add the mayonnaise or whatever dressing you
oh,
like.
dry stuff, okay, but I buy the stuff from Market Basket that's already mixed with the.
I don't know anything about that. It
Okay.
depends on what the source would be for
All
what
right.
they're doing. You'd have
so
to
we'll
look at
We'll
that.
have to check that out.
Yep,
Okay.
so there's the list,
Yeah, it says bagged,
yeah,
okay,
which means it's all fresh.
right, exactly. Well, okay, I'm gonna make a wild guess, I don't know, obviously, but the prepared coleslaw that comes in the plastic tubs that you get from Market Basket, I'm gonna guess that that's all washed before they mix it. Okay,
Yep.
so that's probably okay. Don't know, but I'm saying it probably is all right. Okay, that's good. I feel better now, thank you.
Right, and I practically live on lettuce, whether it's
Yeah.
romaine or it's iceberg or whatever it is, so this is not helping me any.
Cyclospora,
But they don't know where it came
I'm
from.
telling you, just when you think you're okay, something else.
Well, at least we haven't had anybody poison our water supply yet.
You know, you almost wonder, do we even want to watch the new, I mean, like my father always said, no matter what you're doing, it's wrong, okay?
Right.
I mean, you
So
you,
if
you
perchance,
can't win.
if perchance you ingest this parasite,
Ugh.
what it does is, obviously, it's going to affect your digestive system. And so you end up having something wrong at the other end
Yep.
as it goes through your system.
Oh, yes.
And it can be treated with antibiotics, I think. So if you know you have it, then you can go to the doctor, or if you have the symptoms, you can go to
Yeah.
your doctor, and then they can prescribe
Well, I
something.
hope the medical community's up on it, because a lot of
Oh,
times.
they are.
Okay, so a lot of times you go to the doctor and they haven't got a clue, so.
Right, so that is of interest to people, is to make sure that you're aware of what it is that
Yep.
you're eating or
Sam,
not
do you
eating.
make your own coleslaw?
Occasionally, but not, mostly no. Usually I get it from Market Basket.
What do you use when you make your own?
Cabbage, a little bit of carrots.
Have you ever tried
I
this
will do-
canned sweet Vidalia
No,
onion?
but I was just going to say, I do put onion in it, which most people don't.
Well, some people can't
Okay.
take.
This dressing here,
I never saw this before. That looks
Oh,
good.
it's very good. I've had
my
it.
wife makes coleslaw as a hobby.
Oh, she does?
And
Oh, I'll be
she
over
recently
tomorrow.
came and to this. It is absolutely
So
exquisite.
this is what she uses on the coleslaw.
She started using this at the beginning of the month, and oh my God, it's
All right, we'll try that.
fantastic stuff.
We'll-
So
we'll try
when
it.
I make mine from
never-
scratch,
Never saw that.
obviously cabbage is the base, which you either
Well,
can.
there's no cabbage in this dressing. Yet.
No,
This
but
is
when
just
you.
what you add to your mix.
That's
Right.
correct, and I'm going to talk about that. So I usually shred the cabbage and carrots.
Yep,
And then I have mayonnaise.
Yep.
Whether it's a soy-based,
Yep.
an olive oil-based, or whatever. No particular brand comes to mind. I add a little bit of apple cider vinegar, garlic powder, pepper, and then I have chili sauce. So I add the chili sauce.
That
It gives it a
sounds good.
little bit of a tang, but it's all my stuff from scratch, rather than having something that I don't know what's in it or how much sugar is in it. But sweet Vidalia onion dressing is very, very good.
that sounds like it would be good. The problem I have with most prepared coleslaws is too much vinegar. They put too much vinegar in it, and the problem with vinegar is it breaks down your mayonnaise, okay? So when I do it, I don't do vinegar. I don't use it, okay?
I use it because I want the sauce to be a little bit smoother, but I use
Right.
the apple cider vinegar because it's supposed to be good for you. Remember when during COVID they told us make sure you wash your vegetables? First thing Mom always told us, wash up for dinner. Now we have to ask Mom, did you wash the veggies before dinner?
Yes, you do.
Talking veggies, broccoli, asparagus, or green beans, what's the panel's favorite? Well, that all sounds fine to me.
I like
like-
broccoli.
You do
I
not
like green beans. I do not like asparagus.
I love asparagus.
Which I find I am in the extreme minority. I know very few people who don't like. Most people I know like asparagus. I don't.
Well, the last time I went to Market Basket, it was
Right.
$4.99 a pound. I was shocked at that
What?
because I haven't seen
Asparagus?
Yeah.
Wow.
And when
$5.
in the springtime, the best.
It's very asparagus as a crop is excruciatingly labor intensive to grow. Most people don't know that. I do because I work
Sam,
on it.
everything is.
But asparagus, you have to, asparagus, it's 2 years when you prepare asparagus beds before you can even get
Sidney.
the crop. It's very labor
Getting hot out there,
intensive.
is it good?
And maybe that's why I don't like it, because I used
Take a seat
to,
if you like.
I used to work on an
Whatever
asparagus
you think.
farm when I was a teenager.
Maybe that's why you don't like it.
I'm thinking that's why I don't like it. I used to hate, oh my God, corn is also very labor intensive to grow, but asparagus is
Well, if Glenn was sitting
Yeah.
here, he would tell you that his grandfather had an oversized lot in Arlington, Massachusetts, and he had a huge
Corn.
garden. And corn was part of it.
Yeah, you
And
need-
trying to keep the squirrels away from it was another. They didn't have deer problems.
But again, the problem with corn is you got to have the room for it.
Well, he
Yeah,
did.
Yeah, so,
And when they, when Glenn's father was growing up, the extra produce they'd sell down in the center to make
Just
some
aim
extra
the
money.
mic at your mouth, will you?
Yes, and so the,
Look at me now.
pardon me?
Aim the mic at your mouth.
I
there you
did.
go. It needs to go
You
up.
didn't move it. Thank
There
you.
you go.
Perfect.
Okay. But anyway, yeah, growing the stuff is always a challenge. It just depends. I can't
Lot of
grow too
work.
many vegetables in my yard because we have too many,
Too many animals.
yeah, we got too many
We tried-
rodents.
When Allison was little.
It's
we-
easy just to go to Market Basket and buy it.
Yes,
I agree with you
agree.
there, but I like to grow my own stuff. I think it's just a throwback to
It's-
childhood.
It's a lot of work.
Because I used to help my uncle with a small garden my grandmother had, and then she'd can all the extra tomatoes, and if she had green tomatoes, she had the recipe for piccalilli, which my father has. And that's labor intensive when you start
Hey,
making
before
that,
we
but
get too
it's
far
delicious.
down the road, Monday, went to a cookout at one of my colleagues, a longtime friend's house up in Guilford, New Hampshire. He's got a beautiful spot up there. And we're babbling, just talking about beautiful neighborhood, nice spots everybody has. His next door neighbor is Vivian Merrill. She's got a beautiful spot up there.
Well, now, isn't that
What a
interesting?
small world.
Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of
I
interest.
said, Vivian, and he points at her place. I said, wow, that's cool.
But
Small world.
I know you don't like asparagus. I've made asparagus
No,
soup.
don't like it.
I usually, when we get together, I have broccoli. I've
Broccoli's
made
fine.
broccoli cheddar soup also,
Broccoli's
which is
fine.
very good. But with the asparagus, I remember one time being in the supermarket trying to pick out asparagus, and some guy walks up to me and he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm picking out asparagus, obviously." He says, "Well, what are you looking for?" So when you have the asparagus, they come in bunches that has 2 elastic bands on it. If you flip it over, you can see the size of the stem. And if you want to be able to cook it quickly and have it tender, you want those sizes to be as small as possible.
Right,
Thin. The other thing is if you have the thick ones, and you can grill them, but you can also take those and you can wrap them with prosciutto, you can wrap them with mozzarella cheese. I mean, there's a whole lot of things that you can do as far as having asparagus, but I just wanted to share that in case anybody wanted to know.
I think the thing that, the reason I don't like it is the fiber. I don't like the texture of it's not the taste so much, it's the texture of it that bothers me. So.
Yeah, but you didn't like the asparagus soup either, so it's a flavor.
No, well, yeah, I don't like the flavor either, but I mean, if I have to eat it, like
It's
if I'm
good for you.
if I'm at a restaurant and it comes, I will eat the tips. Okay, I'll cut the tips off and I will eat the tips, even though I don't particularly like the taste. I will eat them anyway, but I will not eat the stalks.
Well, that's fine. So anyway, we'd ask Jay what his favorite vegetable is, and a few other things that might be of interest to him if he's asking about cooking and eating.
Yeah.
So,
Lima beans. That's the other one I don't eat.
well, I don't mind a lot of stuff. I'm not exactly sure what I want. There's nothing more satisfying than cutting a zucchini or summer squash fresh off the vine.
Without
Yes.
a doubt.
Now, the other, as far as,
absolutely right.
since we're talking about all of this,
Yeah.
one of the things I read on Google about those 2 particular vegetables, you don't want them to get to where they're almost seeding. You know, sometimes you miss one, okay? They're huge, right? What do you do with it? I have a lot of recipes for that. But you want to pick them when they're thinner and smaller. And the reason is because if you let them go too far, the plant thinks that it's time to seed and the plant will die. And they may not give you very many more after that. But if you want to continually have an increase in your crop, you want to pick them when they're smaller. And they're only like about this big around. So you can grate them and you can put them with cheese, so you can air fry stuff. I can make zucchini bread, and when I make the chocolate zucchini bread, you can't taste the zucchini, but it's really good.
good for
I
you.
don't do that very often
Well,
unless
Sarah
I get a lot of
Curlin
fresh.
would classify that as a vegetable.
Well, she likes carrot cake
Right.
too.
She tells you that, and this woman used to teach home ec, so you have to listen to her. She tells me that carrot cake is a vegetable, all right? So I go with that, absolutely.
Well, also if you're making carrot cake and you add
Yeah.
crushed pineapple, then you've got a
Oh,
vegetable and a fruit.
even better.
So there,
Now, what about the discussion about tomatoes? Because tomato technically is a fruit,
that's correct.
but everybody thinks it's a vegetable, and
Well, that's because they put them on lettuce.
and they use it as a vegetable, right? So give us tell us why tomato is a fruit.
I don't know why.
It has something to do with the seeds, and I've probably read it 100 times, and
Well,
for the
I'll
life
look
of
it
me,
up.
I can't remember. I don't know why I can't remember
So-
the explanation.
It develops.
Yeah.
It develops from the fertilized ovary of a flower and contains seeds.
Okay, so that's what makes it a fruit.
Yes.
Okay, all right,
So it's specifically, it's in the berry category.
okay.
But because it has a savory flavor, that's why people think it's a vegetable.
It
Because
doesn't.
it's not super sweet.
It doesn't taste like a typical fruit, is what you're
No,
saying.
but there's a lot of fruits that don't taste like fruits
Oh, yeah.
because they're sour. So the distinction between a fruit and a vegetable comes down to plant biology.
Yes, okay.
Basically, that's what it is.
There you go.
And there's all kinds of information about tomatoes online. Some people can't deal with the seeds.
I love tomatoes.
Or fresh, or like your wife can have it cooked, but she can't have it raw. And then we have other family members
I
that
don't understand that.
can have certain fruits cooked, but they can't eat them raw because of the pectin in the peel. And if you peel them, they can eat them.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different things that's out there that people may not be aware of. So I'm looking at all of the other stuff.
Yeah.
There was a couple of before we break. Sydney is here for the 7 o'clock time frame. I saw an updated article on the Drake-It condominium, that they're almost ready to lower it onto the new foundation, in case anybody is following that.
That's very interesting.
Yes. We've talked about the weather. We've got a bunch of stuff for Lowell. We talked about our town manager, and the parasite thing. And then we had Lindsey Graham, who dropped dead. But I
Terrible.
looked at, because my sister asked me, is this what you have? And the answer is no. He had an aorta dissection, which is a tear in the aorta. And so they knew that. And so that he must have been under doctor's care. I haven't heard much more about it, so whatever anybody knows that's up to date, that's up to you.
The thing that surprised, I'm watching the news coverage on his death, and the thing that surprised the most people, they said, was the fact that he never married. And most people were not aware of that.
Right.
Okay? I mean, I knew it because I follow this stuff, but if you watch years and years, you never ever saw him with a wife or a woman, and so you might get but he never married, which is kind of unusual. So
Well, it's almost as if I realize that if I have a light that is triggered by motion, it keeps the animals away from my garden.
okay,
Well, that depends on your animal, how determined they are.
it would be nice if it were that easy.
Yeah, my tomato plants are just about ready to pop. Great year for a garden.
good.
Yeah, because of all of the rain. Glenn was out picking blueberries yesterday because in our yard we have a lot of them, and they're
Mid-July,
and the wild blueberries are about 3 times the sizes that they were last year.
Oh, even better.
So we were making blueberry pancakes. It really tastes really good.
I'll be over. I love blueberries.
I should make a bunch, and then you can just pop them in the toaster.
I put them on my cereal in the morning.
Yeah, but these I wouldn't. I would cook these, just generally speaking.
They're
But the
very-
birds love them,
The
and
blueberries
there's plenty of them.
They're supposed to be very good for you.
Yes.
So.
Parley Farms in Chelmsford.
Yep.
If you take a look at their Facebook page or any of the posts that they had blueberry picking earlier in the season. They had
pick your own.
They had the strawberries. So you want to take a look at all of the different things that's offered by that particular farm in Chelmsford.
Yep.
I don't know if Lucian Farm still has the orchards and stuff, but they used to offer apples and things like that, and that's over off of, I think, Westford Street.
Westford Street, correct.
In Chelmsford,
Yeah.
so. Maybe that's why Senator Graham was always happy he never married.
Well, they said the guy had a fabulous sense of humor and
Oh, he did. He used to be able to
regaled his colleagues
break
constantly.
the tension.
Yeah.
But his father died, his
funny.
parents died, and he adopted his sister.
Right.
So with his military career, with adopting the sister, and then his political career, he probably didn't have time. And you don't know. Some people just don't.
He was a very intense guy, and
Glenn met him.
yes, I remember. Tell us the story. But the thing that I will always remember about him, I mean, a number of things, but when he spoke at the Kavanaugh hearings,
Oh, that was exceptional.
that was probably the most, that's the right word, the most exceptional performance I've ever heard from a politician in defense of that type of a situation, and he absolutely nailed what the Democrats were trying to do to Kavanaugh, and he hit it out of the park, and they say that is what turned that confirmation process around, because if you remember, the Republicans were very timid and they were very scared to approach that whole thing. And Graham sat there and he'd had enough. He had just had enough of that nonsense. And he tore into that situation. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It's one of those moments when you watch, you sit there and you say, I wish I'd done that, right? I mean, it one of those moments. I mean, it was just
Well, I think we all have those kinds of
extraordinarily,
moments.
yes, it was extraordinary performance, and he nailed it. It was right on target, and I'll always remember that. And to me, that speaks well of his character. And, in addition to defending Kavanaugh, it was more like, hey, this is not what we're supposed to be doing. I voted for Kagan and Sotomayor. I don't agree with them politically, but I voted for them because they were qualified to sit on the court, and that's what you're supposed to do. And that's the point he was trying to make, okay? And absolutely astounding speech.
Cherry tomatoes now have a variety of types, not just red. And it's not just cherry tomatoes. Now you have grape tomatoes.
And they're not red?
Well, you can have them yellow, purple.
Okay,
you can do
all right, you're
heirloom
right,
tomatoes.
yeah. I've seen the yellow tomatoes.
The yellow tomatoes have less acid than the red tomatoes. My father's mother, that grandmother, used to put sugar on her tomatoes.
Ooh.
Well, the sugar cuts the acid. That's why they put sugar in tomato sauce, is to cut the acid.
But I don't care for
Well, I don't particularly care for it either.
Yeah.
And even as a small child, it was like, can I just eat the tomato plain? But she also did something with which I have never had since I was small. It was something that she did with cucumbers and onions, and that was Midwest. So I don't know what that was.
Sounds good. I like
but that's
them
all
both.
different kinds of things that happen in your childhood, and
But
sometimes.
you're right, a lot of people do put sugar in their tomato sauce. I'm not a fan of that, but a lot of people like it, so
Even
that's
my
fine.
other grandmother would do that when she was canning tomatoes.
Yeah.
She'd add a little bit of extra sugar when she was canning the tomatoes, because she had the salt also.
Did that
because
help with preserving the,
No, it added to the flavor.
the
The preservation
flavor
is in
thing?
the salt and in the process.
Okay, all right.
So, I mean, and I have unbelievable numbers of recipes. At some point, I got like 2 boxes of handwritten ones that I got to figure out what to do with. Most of the stuff I wouldn't use as far as a recipe because of the contents. So we're coming up to the 7 o'clock mark. There's a
Yeah.
lot of other things that we could have talked about the first hour. Maybe we'll talk about them the second hour. You never know.
Well,
We
I'm
might-
sure Sidney will regale us with stories about what's going on with the Lowell City Council.
Oh, I like
and,
this one.
In general.
It was refreshing watching the other side at least praise him. Do you think the other side would praise Trump if he passed away? Just wondering. No, I think they'd be having parties in the street. I think
Right.
that it is unbecoming an individual to do things like that, to celebrate somebody's death, regardless of who they are.
The level of vitriol and hatred against Trump is irrational. It's irrational.
Well,
okay?
that's because he's not, as you said, he's not part of the group.
He's not, that's the whole problem with
Because
And they
Trump.
can't control
continues
He's
to win.
not, he's not a member of the club. That's
Right.
the whole
Continues
issue.
to win.
Yeah.
He
And there's-
continues to win.
And he's doing things to me that are logical. And then you have the Democratic Social Party. I'm not going to
Yeah.
call them, just the regular Democratic Party, because they do not reflect what this country was all about. They want to break it all down in order to have something altogether different.
Well,
We haven't
you know-
talked about that. We're gonna get to 7 o'clock here, Sam. We'll have to save our thoughts.
Yep.
So we're gonna go to a very short break, transition. I think
Coffee
that's
break.
what John's going to do. Usually we do it. Sometimes we don't. We just go right into the next time.
All right.
We'll be right back.
Well, I have to stand up. Here we go.
Yeah, that was only like a minute and a
Look,
half.
and we got everybody.
Welcome back.
We got everybody in the shot on the first try. That's
Yeah, that's
great.
very good, John.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
I'm
you.
Evelyn Thoren, and I am your host for the next approximate 60 minutes, but it's like 59 and change. Anyway, and last week Glenn did say when he did watch it that we did get cut off like at about, what was it, 59.29 or 25.
Close enough.
For what he was watching, yes. Sam Chase is my co-host this morning. Our guest this morning is Sidney Liang. Thank you for showing up and being here. And we can talk about all things Lowell
It's
if
always
you want
nice
to.
when the guest shows up. Yeah.
Yeah, and we know that
we
you...
got to get John to spell it. What, counselor?
And then John McDonough is behind the camera. Sometimes
yeah,
you'll
we're
hear his
missing an
voice,
L, right?
asking
It's
questions,
missing
making
something.
comments.
Oh, yeah.
And that, and but we'll start with Sydney is what's new. I mean, you have meetings during the summer, right?
Yes.
City council meetings during the are they as regular as they are during the year? Do you take time off?
Well, I just said earlier, my work is a little bit tight right now. So the council, we jump every other week, right? So
Yeah.
we met last week. So the next time for this month will be the 28th. It's good and it's bad. The good part is that you have one day to do things you want to do with families and whatnot. The bad part is that the agenda is very long. So Tuesday night, I didn't get home till almost 11 o'clock. So it's like
And you start, what, at 7?
6:30.
6:30.
Yeah.
Now,
So-
did you have executive sessions, or is that
Yes,
just
we
the
did.
regular
Yeah,
session?
we did. We
Okay.
did, yeah.
Sometimes those take up a lot of time
Right.
because if they're not being recorded, people say whatever they want to say. And sometimes people will go on, which at least my recollection of executive sessions. Of course, the state has changed some of the regulations with how you report the discussion, the topics. So it's becoming more detailed than it was when I was on a committee or that Sam was on a committee. So on the agenda, what is budget the primary thing that you talk about?
Right, not really. Right now is everything's everything's actually throwing into the plate. From just regular rule policy to data center to diesel fuel stuff. Basically all these things that you seen or read through Slow Sun and everything else. So it just thrown into one. There's no one specific one that we actually focus on. It's all over the place.
Right, but when the last time that you were here, we talked, in the time before that, we talked about budget. And then we went through things with line items because a lot of stuff isn't explained.
Yes.
So you still have updates on budget because that is not anything that stops.
Right.
There was an article about the one-time monies, the ARPA funds being used for hires and fires. Was that any topic that you had discussed about who's being let go or how they're going to rearrange the money to be able to keep people? I know that there was the fire department. I think it was the fire department thing where they were going to let people go, and it was like, you got to be kidding me, because there's not enough people anyway. So is there anything in those topics that you discussed recently?
Yes, I think since the last time I was here, thank you, Sam, Evelyn. I mean, your advice work. I try to calm down.
Good, I'm glad, because I didn't want you to have a heart attack.
No. It's like if I speak too much, my Cambodian will come out, and
That's
then
okay. That's fine.
But that's part of your personality.
Right.
And then you got to bring in the interpreter kind of thing. So,
Okay.
that's a little bit long meeting than you think. But anyhow, the layoff, it's very passionate and complicated things.
They reversed that, didn't they, as far as the firefighters?
Some have, some have been reversed, and I think
Okay.
the city manager is still working on it, and I guess looking at the numbers and see what are some of the things that he could help with in terms of like bringing. I don't know how they could bring back people, but he's working hard on it, and I think that's kudos to him for doing that, because I know that personally, when I got laid off, it's really hard. It's not just hard on the just regular employee. Laid off, it affects every single thing that you have in your life. From your kid's school to your car payment, your
You lose your
mortgage,
income.
your income and every connection that you have is gone. So I was working 25 years, and it just ding is gone, and I have to learn how to swim. Or just get into the water. Not learning how to swim, but
But the fact that, the thing that amazes me about you is you were in that mode of having lost your job, and you still followed through with your city council thing. I mean, there aren't too many people who would have done that, all right?
But that's my what you call it, coping mechanism.
Well, that's okay.
I love the community. I love the where
yeah.
I live right now, even though it's challenging.
But that speaks to me. That speaks very highly of your character and your motivation that you would do. Most people I know wouldn't have done that. I mean, most people retreat. Okay, and I think it's remarkable what you did. Really, I do, and I admire it. Because, as I say, I don't think most people would have done that.
And mostly I work the opposite, I guess, is that, when you don't do a lot of things, you tend to be, tired and exhausted.
Yeah, that's
And,
right.
Yeah, when you get a challenger or somebody who's challenged you or who intimidates you, and that's when you get this thing all hyped up. And
All the adrenaline starts flowing, right?
and
You got to keep moving. That's absolutely
all the
true.
English that I lost, doing my aging, it come back, and
well,
my
that's good.
schoolings and stuff. So yeah, I like that.
One of the things I wanted to ask you is, because Evelyn and I have a lot of experience with municipal government, but it's town government, so it's different from the way you do process in the city.
Mhm.
So your council meetings, now, who sets the agenda? Who decides what goes on the agenda?
So I'm still learning that. It's like something behind the wall.
It's a secret. It's a mystery.
Well, so what happened is that for us councilor, we send in agenda items to the clerk.
Okay, so you have so maybe you want two things on an agenda, for example. So
Right.
you would send it to the city clerk?
Right. We'll
Okay,
send
then
it to the city
take
clerk.
it from there.
And then the city clerk will work it into the agenda, meaning that if everything else is fall into place, we will have it for the week after or the
Okay.
next week, which basically we send it by Thursday afternoon to be on the Tuesday agenda.
Okay.
So, but politics.
Sometimes it makes it, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, it's depend on how many councilors sending in their item, but most of the time it's okay. If let's say the manager wanted to have something on the agenda, from what I've known so far, he will let us know first, and then we'll be on the agenda. But most of the time, we send it to Gary behind the window, and then he'll do what he has to do, and then it pop up. And if it's not popped up in the agenda, he will let us know. And the same thing with the subcommittee meeting, which is a little bit difficult in regarding to. What I know is that beside the Tuesday, it's really hard to get additional meeting because the Tuesday is reserved for city councilor, to set up their subcommittee meeting. But
So what subcommittees do you have?
so I have right now the most active for me is the personnel subcommittee.
Oh, that's important.
What you call it, I forgot the name of it. We're talking about the national grid, the poles, and gas
Utilities.
lines, utilities, and one more is the nonprofit subcommittee.
Now,
So that's three that you're on.
does everybody have
Probably
three?
Not really. I think there's more, and I don't know, but I just participate.
So I'm
in
assuming
this
there's a
three most.
budget subcommittee?
I think so. I think there's
Oh, yeah,
the finance committee. I think there's other folks.
And would there
on
be
that.
a building committee or something in dealing with housing?
Yes, I know there's a housing subcommittee, yes, yeah.
Because there was an article that I came across that said that the district courthouse is going to be converted to housing.
Did you see the rendering of what they would like to put up there?
It's pretty,
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
If they actually do it, right?
Well,
and how
Yeah.
long it's gonna take.
the hard part is that I keep seeing all these things in the sun, in the media. I never gotten to see it, in real life as a counselor.
But isn't it presented to the city manager?
Personally, maybe I didn't read the whole thing, in the agenda, but I didn't see it. Maybe
Well, that's interesting.
Maybe it's
See what I got.
It's someplace. I saw the Lausanne. Yes, is it Lausanne?
Yeah, it was in the paper, and they
Yeah.
had a picture of what the proposed
Yeah, it's
building was
there.
going to look
Yeah, there
like.
you go. It's nice.
Yeah, I sent it to John.
Beautiful.
John's not
I'm
currently
not
here.
sure.
Heritage Properties announced plans to build a 6-story mixed-use building of approximately 200 units on the footprint of the district courthouse. And then you have people that want to save the district courthouse because it's of
Have they
historical
actually-
significance.
Have they actually bought the land from the city? Does it say?
I don't do
I
that.
didn't
Let me
read
go
the
here.
article, I just saw that.
Sometimes it's hard for me to get the article because I do not subscribe to the Sun.
Same here. Same here.
But I will share with people that
Yeah, I'll
when
look it up when I
my
get home.
children were in middle school and high school, we delivered over 60-plus papers in South Chelmsford. So,
I think the city should get us a subscription to it.
yeah,
So
well,
we can read it.
I'm,
They don't? Oh,
I don't know.
you should be able to get
He
that
knows.
online.
So the quote
Yeah.
from Tom Golden
That's
said that
crazy.
the selection of, so somebody must have selected it, of Heritage Properties as the developer of the former district courthouse site reflects Lowell's commitment to expanding housing opportunities in the city. We look forward to working closely with Heritage Properties, so he's working closely with them. So he should have updates to the city council, so all you guys know what's going on also. To ensure this redevelopment strengthens the
Yeah.
neighborhood, supports local economy, and continues
It's gotta
Lowell's
go through
momentum.
the planning
The city
board
of
and everything else.
opportunity.
Yeah.
So the district court opened in 1925, and it's been vacant since 2020.
Has it been that long?
And it says it's almost 60,000 square
Wow,
foot
doesn't seem
property.
that-
Yeah.
60,000 square feet's a big piece of property.
Yeah, that's yeah.
And it's in the Lowell Historic District.
Right.
So if it's in the Historic District, what happens in Chelmsford is that you would have some kind of a local committee dealing with historical areas, and they would be determine what they're going to
It'll
do.
be the same thing in Lowell. They have to go through the same process. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just another layer of thing that you have to go through to get your
And then it said
project.
the city council met in
Done.
executive session April 14th to discuss the disposition of the property.
Yeah.
So you had to have talked about it at some point.
At some point. Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so that's,
No wonder it was in executive session.
right.
Well, you're talking about contracts.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that
Um,
would be done in executive session. So the city is actively
Working with them, apparently.
working them, but it sounds like they haven't reached a deal and actually sold the property to the
So the
developer.
Superior Courthouse sold for $1.925 million. And then the parcel, the notes say that there was a $390,000 application fee to do that. But that's based, usually the application or building fee is based upon the amount, the total amount it's going to cost to build it.
The value of the project.
Yeah, so like, for instance, if I'm building a deck, the application fee is a percentage
Right.
of whatever the amount is that I'm gonna be charged to put in. How many people were hired in the last 4 years at City Hall?
Good question.
Haha. That's really nice.
Do you have
So
any
he-
idea?
he's-
Yeah, the
so
next
he's talking strictly about City Hall, people who actually work at City Hall.
So that's one of my personnel subcommittee, and I think, and I thank you for asking that, because I am waiting for a report from the HR department, and I think it's a little overdue.
That shouldn't take more than a half an hour to pull together.
You
How
just
many,
stand there
how
and
many,
wait for
how
it.
many people work in City Hall? That's a
Sam,
pretty,
give Sidney a different microphone, will you?
Oh, it's
Or
dead.
maybe I'm too far away?
No, it's not on.
it conked out.
Oh.
See, it's not.
It's batteries.
Yeah, right.
Well,
Here we
okay.
go.
Yeah.
So,
Perfect, thank you, Sidney.
if,
Thank you.
if I were to ask our HR person in Chelmsford, give me a list of everybody who works in town hall. She would go to her computer, and I don't think it would take her more than 15 or 20 minutes to produce that list.
I can tell you stories, but people. Anyhow, I'll answer that question though, because the subcommittee meeting maybe about 2 months ago, maybe a little longer. I don't remember a lot about the dates, but during the subcommittee or personnel meeting, and also in the council meeting, I was told that the updated personnel list will be forthcoming. Now that was in the council
You
meeting.
love that language,
Oh,
don't
yeah,
you? It will be forthcoming.
Yes, and then
it.
during the subcommittee, Mr. Osborne told us that he will be giving the report, the update report, because this was during the layoff area, so I figured he was really busy and stuff. And I asked him, how long does it take? He told me 30 days he'll get me the report.
Sidney, would you consider asking how many Lowellians work in City Hall?
I did.
Good.
That's a good question.
So they can go by zip code. No, we don't go by zip code. You send W-2s, don't you?
Yeah, I'm having one more that might be coming. One of my other motion might be coming. So the reason I was asking was, my question was that I need a demographic report, on all the city staff, breaking down by management of the same demographic, and then those who are resident of Lowell and those who are outsiders. One of those questions that say, and another one is that, do you have relatives that work in the city of Lowell or not? That one was a hot topic.
Did you ask for all employees in Lowell or just the people who work at City Hall?
No, all employees.
So that would include school department as well.
Well, that one's a little bit different because I was told that they are different, so I have to ask differently. So that one is coming. That I will be asking that soon.
What baffles me, and again, I understand that Lowell is a different animal than Chelmsford. It's much larger. We've got 37,000 people. You've got 110,000 people in the city. So you're roughly 4 times the size. I get it, okay? However, if a Chelmsford resident wants to know how many employees work in Chelmsford, and he wants to know who they are, all he has to do is get a copy of the annual town report, because they're all listed with their salaries.
It's public information.
It's public information.
It's not something they should be hiding either.
It shouldn't take.
It's not listed in Lowell.
It shouldn't take very long to get that information.
Like you
that,
said,
John.
Sam, in Lowell we do things different.
Oh my
Yeah.
I
Lord!
thought it was by
Just
state
a tad
state
bit
regs.
different.
I'm sorry. That is public information.
Yeah, I was working with the HR. I working as an HR assistant for so many years when I was young, and
You're still young.
Yeah, thank you. And you already have all this information.
Sure.
You set a query and you run it and you spit it out,
Right.
and all this. I don't want names. I just want percentage.
Okay.
Those are private information, because I know people was like, oh no, it's a private information. No, I'm not that stupid. So I'm like, I want just, for example, how many Lowellians working within the city of Lowell, and how many are outsiders, and at the same time break it down. Let's say management. What are the demographic of all the leadership level? And the same thing. Are they local or are they not local? And the same thing in terms like check mark if you have relative working within the city. I have, people tend to jump into conclusion when I ask
They
them.
do?
Yeah,
I'm shocked.
I know, right? Jeez, goodness. So, for example, I want to do that because I want to know we are paying taxes, to the city. And sometimes you have people coming in earning a lot of money in our city, and they go to their nice home in their city and paying their low taxes or paying their taxes or spending money in their city and town. They're not spending, in our, community. So we keep working and working, and the money keep going out. So that's probably one of the biggest things. That's why I asked for it, just because we need to circulate our own income, our own money within our city, and maintain not just financial stuff, educational stuff, where we have teachers that's in the community that understands, the culture of the community, the culture of the neighborhood. And when you have somebody, driving like an hour and a half, 2 hours to Lowell and teach, the whole day, and then they go back to their town. But at the same time, you read all the different things, Lowell have this many percentage of Asian, percentage of, different community. But at the same time, you haven't really immersed in the community. You don't eat the food. You don't talk the language. You're not into it. So I was told many, many years ago that somebody who's not Cambodian can teach Cambodian culture, right? And I said, that's true.
Hey, Sam, give him that microphone.
This one here?
Again?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's something.
Yeah. Batteries are. I gotta get a new batch of batteries.
It's on. I mean, it's.
No, it's all right.
I got the
We'll,
same.
You're doing nothing wrong.
we'll just
Yeah,
switch it.
I know.
Try this, see if that works any better.
That's what they keep saying to me,
If you need me to get you batteries, let me know.
I
Is
think
it
we
working?
ran out.
Is it
Oh,
working?
better.
Okay.
I think
okay.
we ran out of microphones, so hopefully that'll.
Yeah, I hope
Yeah.
I'm not draining a lot of battery here. So where was I? So yeah, I had this nice person who was like, well, I know a lot about the Cambodian culture. I can teach Cambodian cultures. Well, I said, have you eaten frog?
Cool.
Have you eaten, chicken?
What was the answer? They didn't eat frog?
No, she almost threw up.
Well, then she
I'm
can't.
here.
But it
I'm
tastes
like-
like chicken.
I mean, but
Frog
at the
flakes.
same time, I'm like, come on, you don't
They
eat
don't
our
sell it
food.
at Market Basket.
They don't
No.
sell frog's legs at
No.
Market Basket?
I bet if you go to Asian shop, you see it.
Yeah.
Yes, you
yeah.
would.
But this is what I'm like. Nowadays you can get all the information you want just on social media and YouTube and everything else, but you don't get the connection, the feeling, the taste, the smell.
I think that's true. I mean, look, we all went to, well, I don't say we all, but.
Hey, I just want to finish up on these texts, Sam.
Yeah, go ahead.
There was 3, and then I got an extra.
How many people were hired in the last 4 years? Okay.
Yes, Ed.
Let me see what I can get out of
He's
it for
trying-
you.
he's
I'm
trying to-
trying. I'm
yeah,
trying.
He's
he's
just going to read the text.
Trying to get that information. From the movie The Wizard of Oz, don't believe the man behind the curtain. Good advice.
Yeah.
It's tough to have fair and honest government, yes, when a majority of the city councilors work in some sort of local or state government, okay? So
Yeah, but in Chelmsford, we have a lot of residents
Last text,
that
and then
work.
I'll let you go.
best
Put your
real
back up.
estate deal ever was when Wang Tower was sold for pennies on the dollar. I actually know about that because I worked for Wang at the time, so I know all about that.
Mm. Yeah, there's a lot of real estate stuff going on in the city.
That's,
and,
in fact, that's what got me interested in assessment operations, because when that happened, there was so much misinformation floating around, and I really didn't know, but just my gut told me that what I was hearing was wrong, okay? So I really started to get into it, and I realized that there's an awful lot to that a lot of people don't know about. So that's a story for another day, because that's a very interesting story about the Wang Towers being sold back in 1995. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yep.
mean, I was here,
Yep.
95.
But, getting back to your situation with the council, it astounds me that information that ought to be readily available and not too difficult to produce, because it sits on somebody's computer in a database, should be able to be produced rather quickly, I would think.
Yeah, quickly, yeah.
But,
I mean,
I don't understand it. And as far as people who work in the city and who live in the city, I mean, I would never support a policy that excludes people who don't work from coming to work in the city. But I agree with you that if there are folks who live in Lowell who are qualified for the positions, they ought to be given consideration,
Right.
I think that should be a factor in the hiring process.
We'll consider making a motion. Any applicant whose address is in Lowell must get an interview.
I mean,
if they're qualified.
they got to be qualified.
Yeah, if
but
they're
at the same
qualified.
time, I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I know that. I hope there's not somebody crazy enough that you're not qualified and trying to apply for a job. I mean, because
You'd
that
be surprised.
sometimes that just should be out of the window. If you're not qualified, don't apply. I mean, and then we start talking about, okay, local versus non-local, and what are the benefit of it. I'm not against folks that are like outsiders, but I want to
There's
give
nothing you
opportunity.
can do about the people who are already here.
Right,
Nothing you
right.
can do.
But
So
the,
you
the,
can,
the
you
other
can
job
do something
too.
about incoming.
Right.
And if you just say to them, I make a motion that every qualified candidate that has a zip code that lives in the city of Lowell must get an interview.
Well, that's not a bad idea.
Sounds good to me.
I mean, it's
The people who live in Westford, who live in Boston and commute here every single day, because it's a great paycheck, they'll be there until they decide to leave.
Yeah, the other things too is that we have, our next generation, that are coming up, and at the same time, they should have the same opportunity, just like your kid that born over here, and not like automatically extend the opportunity to your kid, and then my kids, have like a 10% opportunity while your kid has 99% or 100% opportunity getting into the job. I want to have forget about me in terms of like trying to get in, but I want a new generation to have the same opportunity as when you're born in Lowell. I don't care whether you are in Pawtucketville, Belvedere, the Acre, the Highland, wherever you're born, you have the same opportunity, and also is that whether you have parent or aunt and uncle, whatever that, working in a city hall or not, should have the same opportunity. Now, of course, somebody would just say, well, that's the way it works right now. Yeah,
Well, and I think most people would agree with you that should be the standard and the goal. The problem is you run into human emotion, okay?
Yeah.
So you can pass, just for the sake of discussion, you can pass all the laws in the world on discrimination.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, some people are going to discriminate because
Yeah.
that's human nature.
Well, it's
okay?
hard to legislate the thought process.
It's hard to legislate morality, and it's hard to legislate, like Evelyn says,
Right.
the way people think. And I'm not saying we shouldn't try. We should, obviously, but you pass rules and laws like that. People are pretty smart and clever, and they figure ways around it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, emotion, morality, and this kind of
exactly.
thing. It's always happening, and
The way I like to approach it is, look, everybody has their prejudices, but we should establish a baseline of what's fair and reasonable. And if you do it, in a way that you're not picking on people or accusing people of doing bad things, then you've got a better chance of getting people to sign on, right? What was acceptable behavior 40, 50, and 100 years ago dealing with people today is no longer acceptable, okay? And things do change over time, but it's because people change the way they look at things,
yeah.
The laws are important because that starts the process, all right? But ultimately, it's up to individuals. They have to change their way they think about things, the way they view people and they see things.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But as the older that you get, the question is, do you really want to do that? But it depends on the individual.
But I find, and I don't know whether this is representative or not, but I find as I've gotten older, in terms of the things that I've just been talking about, human relations, I find I've gotten more broad-minded than when I was in my 20s. When I was 25, I was so sure that this was right and that was right. And now I'm 79, and now I'm not so sure, okay?
Well, I don't know how.
Right?
I don't know how
Go
focused I
back.
was when I was 20 because that would take some time to try to
So,
put
yeah.
myself in that place. I don't do that kind of analysis. I know that I've stated many times here that I would say 98% of wherever my positions were when I was 20, I have not changed any. And at the time, I was not considered a conservative with regard to those particular views. I was considered a moderate that leaned left. And today, I haven't changed much. However, because the goalpost has changed so far to the left, I'm really pegged more far to the right.
Well, that's a
But it
good
isn't
point.
because
That's a
of
good
that, the
point.
fact that I changed, it's because everybody else changed. And I maintained the same consistency because I believe in logic. And I believe in being fair and balancing things out, and I've always done that, sometimes to my detriment, because I would defer and/or compromise in order to move along. I did that when I was on school committee. But there are some things that you just can't do that with.
Right.
And that's where your integrity and your moral and ethical values come into play. That's if you have any. Because I'm not seeing too many of them currently today. I mean, one of the topics that we were going to, Sam and I were going to talk about last week and this week, which we didn't in the first hour, not that we're going to talk about it now, but it's at your discretion. And that's what's going on within the Democratic Party, in that where they want to go with things. You're talking about opportunities and people getting jobs and the things that make this a capitalistic society, and yet you have people that want to turn it into something that isn't. And when you run out of other people's money, then what do you do? People call for fairness, but when you want to apply logic to that, it doesn't happen. You know, you've got 1% of the people in the country paying 40+% of the taxes. I don't think that's fair. But then again, other people say, well, they have the money, they can do that. And when they talk about all the billionaires, I think the article I read said there's 980 billionaires in the country. And they contribute to the economic system because they employ people. Yes, John?
It's your favorite time of the show.
Yeah,
We
a little
delayed.
late, actually. Go ahead.
Yes, it's fine.
So we're going to have a City Hall clock tower dedication. Is going to be July 18th, 10:30 a.m. at the Lowell City Hall. Love to see you down there. And this guy did a lot of work keeping the clock on time.
He looks familiar.
Walter Wally Burns.
Okay.
And so they're going to celebrate his excellence, and good for him. And page 2 here is today.
The menu. The menu. Here we go.
Today is the 16th. We're going to have a roast pork loin.
Ooh, that sounds good.
And we're open 7 days a week at the Lowell Senior Center. And it's only $2. And if you don't have the $2, we'll feed you for free.
Roast
And
pork.
the only rule is you got to be 60 years or older. So over the weekend, we're going to have meatloaf and shrimp scampi on Sunday.
Wow. Oh, ham dinner.
A lot of salt.
That's
Yeah.
okay. We'll take it.
Hey, for $2, how can you go wrong, right?
And for this, for the hot days, we got the splash pad pool update, and all these parks are open. So
Right.
take your
right.
fancy phone out of your pocket, take a picture of your screen there, and bring your grandkid over and cool the kid off in the pool or
Yeah.
one of these
Good
splash
idea.
pads. Now, Ev, what did you make me today?
I made almond
Because this is delicious. I already ate one.
Danish, almond Danish. Very easy to make, very few ingredients.
I don't care.
I know, but there are a couple of people that listen to
I'm not a
us.
creator. I am a consumer.
Well, that's
Yeah,
fine,
there
and I
you go.
keep giving you stuff to consume.
Me too.
I'm gonna, from the
I
name, I'm
appreciate
gonna
that.
guess that
Thank
there
you.
are almonds
Back
in
to
it,
you
right?
guys.
No almonds?
No, it's flavoring.
Oh, it's
So-
fake almonds. Okay.
For those of you out there that always ask me, what do I bake, and sometimes you want to know how I do it, I had a tube of crescent rolls. And that one tube makes an 8x8, which is what you saw that I did for John. Because trying to make a large one, I've done that before, it's very difficult to get the center to cook. So if I make the small ones, it cooks up rather quickly, less than 30 minutes. And so I divide it in two, I roll it out between parchment paper, and I put the parchment paper down in the 8x8 pan. And then there's 8 ounces of cream cheese, a half a cup of sugar. I put
God.
almond flavoring in it.
Sounds like a heart attack.
And this time I used egg beaters because I did not have an egg to put in it. The recipe is online, and then the other half of the crescent I've rolled out goes on the top. I did not do any glaze because that's even more sugar. I did a little bit of powdered sugar on the top after it cooled, but I made that quickly yesterday. Glenn was really surprised. He goes, "You did that too?" So it's something that I can do quickly. But
I don't know why your husband doesn't weigh 450 pounds.
Because he runs.
He jogs.
So,
Yeah.
Evelyn, watching the English complain about America, their visit here, just comparison, not complaining. Why do we put eggs in the refrigerator? Because the English don't.
Okay, so if you wash eggs, you've washed a protective layer on the outside. So therefore, you would refrigerate the eggs. If you have the eggs from the chicken to the container, and you don't do that, then you can keep them on the counter. The other part is we need to prolong the shelf life of the egg. And that's one way that you do it, because those eggs are old.
There's another answer too. I'm sure that's 100% right what you said, but if you've ever visited the UK and been in people's houses that live in England, you understand that their refrigerators are a lot smaller than ours.
Well,
Okay, so they don't
and don't they have pantries and stuff?
Yes, they don't generally refrigerate food to the extent that we do. They are more interested in fresh stuff, okay? So they shop more often, and that's part of the answer, okay?
I'm not sure it's that good or bad. I mean, in Cambodia, usually in the morning, they would go shop, for fresh food.
For the day?
For the day.
Yes, exactly.
Now, we got introduction of, refrigerator, and we
Right.
got some lazy farmers out there. That
Lazy
just-
farmers. Nothing worse than a lazy farmer, I tell you.
I don't know any lazy farmers.
I mean, now we have
Oh, boy.
refrigerator that's, having all this stuff that's supposed to be, a morning routine, and then you have a lot of things that introduce, to the community now that's even worse. One of my nightmare is that when they do rice farming, in the old days, there's no such things as like fertilizer.
Right.
I mean, now, why would you just go buy fertilizer and spread throughout
So there was no fertilizer, so
But-
what was the quality of the rice? Was
I mean,
it okay?
it was
All right.
good. I mean, the thing was natural.
There you
Everything's
go.
like, like cow manure and stuff like that, but not just like all these machines.
chemical
No
fertilizer,
chemical
right.
stuff.
So it's the further you get with the increase in population, you have to increase production.
That's true.
And part of the reason you increase not part of the reason, but how you will increase production is that you would fertilize or over-fertilize. If you do it organically, and we had somebody that was on before, if you do it that way, you maximize your production. But they're into more inorganic type fertilizers, which is not good for us, but you have a lot more food. And then you have all the GMOs, and that's another whole
Well,
story. Eggs to the panel, over easy, sunny, and runny, or scrambled.
Scramble.
You like scrambled eggs?
Scrambled.
But do you like scrambled eggs wet or dry?
Dry.
You
Wet.
like them wet?
You like them wet. I like them
Okay.
dry.
And do you scramble them in butter, olive oil,
That isn't on
seed
the
oil?
list. That is not on the list. Alligator is widely recognized as a delicacy in the South.
Tastes like chicken.
Yes, tastes like chicken. I ate it once.
Let me, and I happen to like eggs over runny. Let me ask the question differently. How many of Tommy's buddies have been hired in the past 4 years?
That's a good question.
As people get older and realize what things cost, that has an effect on people's decisions in lives. Yes. It also has an effect sometimes on younger people's lives if they're aware of it and they have been taught the value of a dollar or how to run a budget. Kids nowadays have no clue what things cost. Some do. If parents made kids pay for things, then maybe they would understand personal finance.
Yep.
One of the things I thought was interesting, I did not have it to be put up, because we haven't discussed, and we don't need to currently discuss socialism versus communism. If you want your child to understand what that means, and you have more than one child, you take one child and you say, I'm going to give you $10 to clean the bathroom. And so the kid cleans the bathroom or the kitchen or whatever it is, it goes to get the $10, and the father says, all right, so in socialism, here's your $4, and $6 is going to your siblings. And then the kid's like, what do you mean? I just worked for $4? No, that's socialism, taking the money from you and giving it to somebody else that doesn't work. So it's interesting many times, and there is the story that's online about the professor, and it's an old story, it's been there for years, about how he wanted to teach students that difference between
with the
socialism
grades,
and
yeah.
democracy, and that's with grades. And he said, from now on, all grades will be average. So the people that normally will get the A's and the B's, they work hard, and the people that don't say, oh, we're going to slide. And so with the first test,
Everybody gets a C.
everybody gets a C. And then the ones that will work and said, what good is that for me? And eventually, the whole class fails because the people that work realize what's going on with the people that don't work, and then everybody fails. And one of the other pieces between the two names is that they're not any different, except socialism comes with a vote and communism doesn't. And so everybody that is believing in one thing versus and when you talk about democracy, we do not have a democracy. We have a constitutional republic.
Well, the best question to ask everyone is, when do you think President Putin won't be president anymore? And then page 2, when do you think President Xi will not be president anymore?
Well,
And it's called When They Die.
yes. And then you also had
Oh,
Maduro.
I don't think Putin's going to survive his office.
Well,
I think he'll be out of office.
He doesn't care.
he's got
He will
millions of dollars.
He will if he gets killed.
So when you have a pyramid of capitalism in terms of dollars, and the same thing with socialism or communism, it changes in that in capitalism, everybody's earning money, everybody has opportunities. It doesn't mean that everybody's going to be rich, but you do have the potential of gaining more depending upon circumstances, but everybody has it. But when you have communism, you just have that little piece at the top that has the money, and everybody else doesn't,
Well-
because you're feeding the top. And Putin, when they talk about the Russia, he has palaces, places, he's got boats in quotes, of course.
Socialism and communism.
What do you think Xi has?
The
Well,
same
he has all
thing.
the same thing.
Socialism and communism always benefit the ruling class. Okay.
Xi has no public domain that anybody knows anything. They don't know if he's
Well,
got a
because
girlfriend, got
because
a boyfriend, got a car.
It's a
no
closed
nothing.
society, information-wise.
Right, they don't want you to know, because if you knew, then
I'm
you'd
gonna throw
riot.
a little bit of a technical curveball here, and because I think it's important. Speaking as an accountant, okay, I will tell you that all societies are capitalist. A communist society is capitalist because you have to have capital to produce anything, okay? That's just an economic rule. The difference is in who owns the capital. You with me, Sidney?
Mhm.
Okay, so
I can see it now.
in a communist and in a socialist
You lived it.
society, the people, the capital is not in the hands of private ownership. That's the difference. In a communist or a socialist society, the capital, or the means of production, as they call it, is in the hands of a collective or a government. That's the difference. So China is a capitalist society. It's just a question of who owns the capital. In the United States, individual people own the capital. So really the distinction is between government capitalism and free market capitalism. What we have here in the United States is free market capitalism. So that's the distinction, okay? So when people say it's a capitalist versus non-capitalist, that is technically not true. The question is, who owns the capital? I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I've seen it, and I think
Right.
I lived it. Both wool, or I don't know how many wool I live in regarding to, the communists. It's like when you're looking at a cow, and then I tell you it's a pig. And then you don't believe me, it's a pig, and then the cow's walking all over the city. But anyhow, it's true where you have so in my former world, you have a group of people that own the country, right?
They own the capital.
Right. So
Yes.
basically, it means you're right, and
Yes.
and then if you're hungry, we have some extra money that's going out, but if not, we just holding a grip of like, okay, how much are we dripping out? Because this is, when you're talking government wise, it's more about control. If you breaking out that mold and go into a free market system, and then we'll just yank you back in and say, whoa, that's not right. You need to get this permit to get to that. You need to get this and that and that, and then you're coming back in, so they close that loophole. So I've seen it. I lived it. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but man, you look at a lot of countries that sort of their extended hand is from the capital all the way to the countryside. They have this web of whatever maybe that they control all the money and all the power from up to down. I mean, but you can't even explain to the regular people because they're living in it. So one thing that I saw that was fascinating in the Cambodian tourism theme that came out, but it got changed. But the theme was that bring the frog out of the well. So, I mean, what the hell?
Yeah, what does that mean?
You're looking at your people as a frog, these animals,
Okay.
these people that inside a well, and then you bring them out into the world that you can see all stuff out there. I mean, when it comes to government official, using that analogy, to your own people, it becomes more like, how much do you know your people? Do you think that your people don't know anything about, economic, political stuff, education, all these other systems? So
They
that's
may not.
weird,
They may not be able to explain it in academic terms, but they feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they
Yep.
feel it. They instinctively understand, what incentive is, and why people work hard, and
Yeah.
They may not be able to academically explain it, but they do feel it.
I mean, look at Chi. I mean, Chi came to the U.S. He studied the U.S.
Yep.
And he was, he graduated here and he went back, so he know more about all the stuff
Absolutely.
that's happening inside his
Yep.
country. And at the same time, he pretended not to know, but he's using all his knowledge
Correct.
that learned.
Yeah, but he has to maintain that power position.
Right. So
Anybody
he's
that
gripping
opposes
it.
him
But
is dead.
the other thing about China is, over the last 35 years, they have adopted or allowed some private capital activity, okay? China is not 100% communist control. There are enclaves of enterprise and private capital equipment. And they've done that because they realized that a total command economy cannot
you to read this.
adequately produce what is required, okay? And
You're stuck on play.
I know. But so let's do this. Another question, when the old
Yeah.
courthouse building is converted to housing, what will the starting price for a two-bedroom condo be, and why are there not more projects on Merrimack Street with
good
housing?
question.
Well, first of all, it takes money to
Merrimack
do that.
Street.
And then the question is, when you have the money, you're going to make money.
It begs my question.
That's a long time coming.
Sidney, how do you feel about the current parking regulations in Lowell, where you don't need any parking? You just put more buildings up. How do you feel about that personally?
My personal beef most about parking. Parking is a big problem, but we as a councilor and as a city, we need to really do something.
Well, why don't you put a motion on and say, knock off this malarkey, because this Superior Courthouse down here, they're going to build stuff on all that grass in those parking lots.
Right, and
They're not going to have any parking.
Well,
that's
especially if it's going to be housing. You need parking.
that's where I learned most is why is this happening? I mean, personally, if you talk to me, maybe let's say 2 years ago, before I was like a counselor and stuff like that, I didn't understand all the hoopla in terms of all this loophole, all this thing that happened, and now I do see, and where, for example, like the MBTA stuff, like, okay, you don't need parking when you're building housing near the MBTA zone and whatnot. You do.
Yeah.
And also I have a lot of people who's complaining to me about their kid cannot even come to visit them anymore because they don't have a sticker that park in front of their house, or the neighbors, because they don't have a residential parking.
That's only in certain sections of town, though.
Yeah,
Sid.
yeah. No.
Do they have that in the acre?
They do have a lot of those in the acre.
We have it in the acre? I didn't know that. I just
Oh,
thought
yeah.
it was over in Pawtucket.
Is there a regulation or an ordinance, a building ordinance that says if you build, since we're talking about housing, you build a housing project, 30 units, Is there any kind of a rule that says you have to have X number of parking spaces?
I
unit?
mean, I have a lot of beef in terms of housing being built in the acre, but I'm just saying, yeah, I can't stop it.
I'd like to
Yeah.
talk about the Heinz Tavern project. 70 people are moving in there. There are 13 parking spaces.
Yeah, see, that's
And the
not,
city council caves to the revenue. The manager has spent so much money, he needs the tax revenue. Lowell is a very poor city, and to think that, you know what, we'll just build these places, they don't have to have parking. These suckers will buy them, we'll get taxes off them, and the hell with parking. Sydney,
Well-
it's gonna take the city councilors
John, I
to
mean,
push them back.
John, I mean, at the beginning of your show, you said something. It was like, this is low.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to do something and just like, it's hard. It's really, really hard. It's just that sometime, let me give you an example.
Please do.
There's a bus thing that's in front of Stocklosa. You know that place? There's a place that cover with the bus pack. So what happening to me is that when I drive by there every single day, from last winter to maybe a couple of weeks ago, it was an eyesore. It was like broken. It was the sidewalk could not even walk by. It was all of the stuff that's happening, and people driving, in and out, go drop off their kid. The city staff, city people drive by, go to work. LPD, DPD, everybody is driving past that place. That place is like a dump, but at the same time, nobody cares. Why? I just don't understand. Why is that normal for somebody to drive past that don't say something,
Sydney,
let's say fix it?
I think that and God bless Paul Rathayem. He did what he could before you got here. And the thing is that you don't think you're going to get a second. What you want to have in your neighborhood, you need to put it on the council floor. You got to get somebody to second it, have discussion, and get your way. You can't be sitting back saying, well, I'm not going to get a second. You got to bargain for a second. You got to call your colleagues, hey, will you second my motion? And I'm not going to say you're going to vote for it. I just want you to second my motion. And put your stuff out on the floor
It's
so the
despicable
community
when you do
understands.
that.
Sydney, at least Sydney's trying to get parking for us.
So the other piece to that is a different approach. When you have Massachusetts legislature that is telling everybody basically you no longer have single-family units. You have multiple family units in every neighborhood. And you also, if you are building certain housing, you want to build it near public transportation. So if you were to look down the road and they want to get rid of cars because they're into this climate control change type of stuff, then what you do is you create less parking, less opportunity for you to own a car, and then you create all this housing because they're going to stack people on top of one another without regard to natural resources. Do you have enough water? Do you have enough sewer capacity? What is going on? So it appears as though, they're trying to be nice about the fact they want all this affordable housing, they want all these places for people to live, they want all kinds of stuff. But when you take a look at it from that perspective, in that, you may gain money, but you also are putting a strain on all the infrastructure of whatever the community is.
And it is a huge limitation on people's personal liberty. Okay?
Well, it is.
You're making decisions for me. I can't own a car. I can't drive.
Right, and
Okay?
but realize you also have
That's a problem.
HOAs.
That's
And
a
if you
problem.
have HOAs, those are those little mini fiefdoms. And those HOAs control everybody that's within that group.
Oh, yeah.
And tell it you can't fly the flag, you
Yep.
can't have more than one vehicle, it has to be of this type, you can't plant a garden, you can't hang out
And you know what?
anything, your house has to be a certain color.
I don't have a problem with that, because
Well, I do.
HOAs are private, and you don't have to live in those places. The problem I have is when the government comes in and says, that's how we're going to structure everything. Now you don't have a choice. So if you don't want to live in Grist Mill, and be subject to their rules, you don't have to live there.
Well, you gotta find someplace else,
Okay,
obviously.
yeah.
But when the
We
state
have
comes in and
choices.
starts telling you
Yeah.
where you can put your housing,
That's a problem.
all right?
That's
And
a
that's
problem.
exactly what happened.
Yep.
We want them near transportation, or if you're within walking distance, or if you have a bicycle. So you're now trying to control what is going on with people's living conditions. That's what's happening also in New York City, is that they're trying to establish, you have rent control. Well, rent control is fine as long as nothing else increases.
It works for a little while.
Yeah, not for very long,
Right.
because if you increase the taxes on the people that own the property, but the people that own the property can't make the money to be able to pay for the taxes, then they're also not going to be able to make the money to maintain the building. At some point when that happens, then the government can come in, foreclose, and take over all
Well,
of the buildings.
I think that's the plan in New York City. The plan is to
Well, it isn't just there.
Yeah, but it's in the news because of who the mayor is. I think that's the plan. Ultimately, the city administration wants to drive private property ownership out and have the city or state government take it over. I think that's what they want to do.
Right, and the more that they say they're going to tax people that make money, because the people that are making the money are paying the taxes. If those people leave, the next burden comes down to the next social level. So if you get rid of the people at the top, where does that go? It goes to the people that are next in line, which is an upper middle class. Well, if those people say, well, I don't really like what's going on, and they leave, now you're to the middle class. And if they don't like it and they're able to leave, now you're left with people that don't have enough income. And then what happens? And that is the thing that we were
And
talking
you
about
print
earlier.
money, and your money becomes worthless
Well, you can't print-
because you have hyperinflation
Yes,
and
but
everybody suffers.
Right, but the mayor of New York City cannot print money. The president of the United States can't print money. He can maybe make a directive, but
The federal
but-
government can print money.
Yes, but it's not under the directive of the individuals, and that's where you have an issue with your power structure. So people don't see that, okay? And they also don't see that the more people that come into this country are putting a burden on your local budgets. You see that in Massachusetts, where the millions of dollars aren't going to the people of Massachusetts that are the residents and the citizens. It's going to the people that have come here that are not legal. And there's a lot of people, well, that point to individuals, except they came here legally and they applied that way. And so when you throw out information for whoever's out there, people throw out information, do your research. Make sure that what they're telling you is true, because when they're making comparisons, because they've done it with the educational system in Finland, and when you do the research, it's a very small country, and when I was on the school committee
Apples and oranges.
with regard to the educational system, it's less people. They're not trying to fund people on welfare. They're not allowing non-citizens to be on some of their rolls to gain
They don't
benefits,
have a huge defense budget.
right?
Okay.
They don't, and they also are not doing foreign aid. And so we'll finish this next week.
Yes.
We're running out
All
of
right.
time.
Oh, we're so happy that Sydney.
Well,
Yeah.
stay safe. It's
Yeah.
hot out there. It's
Hey,
Yeah,
humid
listen,
everybody be
and-
careful what's going
this
on.
guy is trying to keep the Lowell government honest, okay?
I'm trying.
He's trying to keep them honest, so you gotta support him.
Tomorrow we got Cliff Krieger's, they're gonna be the host. Eileen Del Rossi's gonna be here, and Regina Fataconti. That's tomorrow.
Thanks,
City Life.
everybody, for listening.
See you
We'll see
tomorrow.
you next week.
So you-
Thanks for
Yeah.
watching.
We will see you
must
next
have a
week.
good
See you tomorrow on City Life.
relationship With Sean.
Tomorrow we got Cliff Krieger's, they're gonna be the host. Eileen Del Rossi's gonna be here, and Regina Fataconti. That's tomorrow.
Thanks, everybody, for listening.
See you
We'll
tomorrow.
next week.
Thanks for watching.
See you tomorrow on City Life.